Hi folks, and welcome to another fly fishing video. Now I'm doing the introduction in the warmth and comfort of my little car here, and the reason for that is when I set off at 4 AM this morning it was -5 on the temperature gauge of the car, and I was like, oh man, let's hope the day is going to warm up. And as I drove up, seen a lovely sunrise this morning, but the temperatures just seem to have gone down and down. At one point it was reading -9. Now I've arrived in Bakewell on the banks of the River Wye in Derbyshire, and the temperature gauge is now reading -8.5. So it's not improved, it's got a lot colder, but I am kitted up for a day's grayling fishing. I'm going to be joined later today by Chris Flay, who's going to show me a little bit around the River Wye. Well, I'm a little early, so I thought I would have a little walk round. I've paid for my parking, £1.50 for an hour. Seems a bit steep for up north, but there you go. Anyway, I'm in the town of Bakewell. Now, Bakewell is a famous tourist destination, and in the summer it would be absolutely heaving with people. But in the winter months, it's almost deserted, to say the least. I've seen a few of the locals are up and about, but generally it's a very quiet place in the winter months. I had planned to come up and fish the River Wye twice this year, and the first time was with Nigel Decht. Unfortunately, family commitments made sure that I didn't make it. It is quite a trip for me. And the second time, the weather got the better of me, and the rivers were all blown out with all the rainfall that we so desperately needed in this country. But I've managed to get up this time, and just walking down the banks now, the river looks absolutely stunning. I've not had the opportunity to fish it in the past. This will be my first time, and let's hope I don't blank. Well, I've eventually got to the right location. I was in the middle of Bakewell. That was not the right location. I'm now standing on the banks of the River Wye with Haddon Hall behind me. And I'm joined by Chris Flay, and he's going to tell us a little bit about the beat we're going to fish today.
Finally, welcome to the River Wye. Took you a while, but we've got here in the end. So yeah, welcome everybody. This is the mile section that we've got here of the Derbyshire River Wye, and it is the Haddon Hall estate. This is a Lord's private beat. It's running absolutely splendid at the moment. The water's clear, it's not too high, so we should be in for a good day with the grayling.
Excellent. So how are you going to set up to tackle the river? Now, this river doesn't allow wading, so we're going to be fishing from the bank. Now, I would think the bung's going to come into play today. Yeah, I'm going to set up with two rods. With it no wading, they're both going to be 10 foot long. My first rod, which will be a Euronymphing rod, will be a 10 foot for a 3 weight. The second rod I'll be using, again 10 foot with the indicator, but it'll be a 4 weight, just to give me that little bit more presentation and turnover. Yeah, excellent. Correct. And are we going to start downstream or upstream?
We're going to start here at the bridge to start with, and then we're going to work upstream for this section. Then what we'll do, we will move further down the bridge and see where the day takes us.
Perfect. Well, let's get kitted up and get to it, Chris.
Brilliant.
Well, Not what I came for to start, but it is a start. It's my first wild rainbow. Let's get him straight back. The Grayling will wake up soon, I'm sure of it.
So, after a few out of season trout, rainbows and browns, we've managed to find what we've came for. I have rested her in the net for a little while, so she's very wiry. A superb Derbyshire Y Grayling. Let's get her back.
I'd just like to say thanks very much for all the support throughout the season with the channel, and I'll look forward to doing much more videos next year. Now, in the meantime, I hope you have a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. I'm going to get back to the fishing. First Y Grayling over the moon. Now, there's a few fisheries that don't allow wading, the Lower Itchen's one for example, and very often the only way you can get to the decent runs is by fishing the bung, or a large indicator if you like. And so the far side of the bank, usually I'd much prefer to double nymph this, but I'd be in the water up to my knees, at least there, and I would fish the double nymph. But on this occasion I can't get across to that. Even if I was to throw my double nymph rig, immediately I would be getting that windmilling effect and my nymphs wouldn't be getting deep enough. Whereas under an indicator, I can fish that no problem at all. Now that last fish, I just found it on the far side, so there's a little run coming in just above me here, and what I want to do is try and get my bung rig right across there, and that's almost perfect. Now I've got a lot of line out, so I've really got to concentrate on watching the indicator. And it's not like with double nymph rig, it's a gentle flick of the wrist. With the bung, with this much line out, I really have to give it a good whack to make sure I set the hook. Well, it's taken us a little while to find them, but as expected, they are in that walking pace of water, and they're around 3 to 4 feet deep. That's comfortable for grayling. Now, it's a bit alien to me this, because I'm used to wading, and there's no wading here on the Derbyshire Y, so what I've resorted to is fishing the bung, but it is starting to throw up a few fish. I've got one here. I'm just going to slip her back now. Been in the water a bit, well refreshed, but beautiful. Whoop. And there we go. Well, Chris and I have worked really hard for much of the day, and when I say the day, we've only been fishing for about 3 hours. There's so little light in the winter, you've got to make the most of it. So we've been out for most of the day, and we've only managed, I think, 4 grayling between us. There's been several brown trout, and there's even been a couple of rainbow trout. But oh wait, Chris has got into one. Let's see how he's getting on with that. And the water he's fishing in here is actually really deep, so he's been fishing an adjustable bung, and I think he's got it set about 6 to 8 feet down, so the grayling are fairly deep, and he needs to be careful that he doesn't slip into the river at this point, although it would make fantastic footage. And he's got it. Let's have a look at it.
As I've got a sliding indicator, I thought if we set it sort of 6 to 7 foot deep, because that's what I think this area is, we might have a chance. And there we go, we got one. So we will show you. Just wet the hands. trying not to go in here with this ice. We've rested her up. And there we have another Derbyshire Grayling.
Well, it's 4 o'clock already and the light's starting to fade. The sun's dipped behind the hill and I doubt we're going to see it again today. It's been a fantastic day. We've had to work incredibly hard for just 5 grayling between us, but there's been a lot of sport with out of season fish and it's been fantastic to at last come to the Derbyshire Y and have a go. I've really enjoyed myself. What I'm going to do now is go back with Chris. We're going to have a hot chocolate and a slab of shortbread and pick the bones out of the day. Why don't you come along and hear all about it? Well, we're here in the Peacock Hotel. They very kindly sorted us out with a hot cup of coffee and a lovely bit of shortbread. Chris, thanks very much for having me here for the day.
Absolute pleasure.
Thoroughly enjoyed it. It's been great, a fantastic backdrop and a beautiful river to fish, and we've managed to get a few fish as a bonus. So how do you think the day went, pal?
I think it was a tough morning to start with. We had the one straight off the bat in that first pool. Then it went slightly quiet.
And that ended up being the biggest fish, didn't it, of the day?
I'll take the biggest fish of the day for the first one. I'll take that. I think we fished well. We've changed our flies, we've changed depths, we've changed methods even, so I don't think there's much else we could have done. Sometimes fish don't play.
I found it quite difficult to fish double nymph effectively because I found myself starting to try and reach across the river and double nymph doesn't work.
Also
well
because
like
we
that.
Can't wade here on the Y, you're nymphing from the bank is a little bit different, so we're stood here without getting in and we've then got to reach over. Even if it's the second seam of the pool, we've still got to...
and that's when the bung came in really, really handy. But we've had a great day. Hopefully I'll be up when it's a little bit warmer than it was today. Next year maybe, I hope to get in about some of the wild rainbows. But thanks very much for watching the video and I'll see you all next time.